Alright, today we're gonna try to farm some salvage for the Corvette class starship, which I've already built up, and it's kind of just big and just an amalgam of everything I just found and created this gigantic monstrosity. So I'm gonna try to rebuild it into something that looks a little more pleasant rather than every single optimal component into one. And the best way to do that is to find planets that have salvage, preferably moons or something small that doesn't have a lot of gravity, because it's a lot easier to get through without having a lot of things in the way. This happens to be a forsaken planet. It's very close to a moon. It has low gravity and it has that salvageable scrap. The only downside to this planet is the high sentinel activity, which means that a lot of times when digging for salvage scrap and trying to acquire the parts from it, the sentinels may get alerted. Usually you can just run away or do it fast enough before they get alerted. So let's give it a try. Um, the transportation exocraft I tend to use is, or is it, is the Nomad. Mostly because it's just convenient, also goes over water, but it's not the fastest. The fastest is the Pilgrim. The only downside to the Pilgrim is it's very loud. So if you're, riding around the planet looking for salvage and listening to music, the Pilgrim's engine noise is so loud that it drowns out the music. So I can deal with a little less speed and a lot more sanity. So let's get into the Nomad. Oh, before we do that, we should mark where the next salvage is. And you use your visor scope and kind of scan around looking for yellow salvage triangles, and hopefully we can find one. If not, um, ride around a little, and when you get out to the edge, like further out, you should be able to see some. Surprisingly, there are none. Oh, wait, there it is. It's a little hard to see because the planet's kind of whitish. So it's right there. It's about 1,200 units away, so that should be about less than a minute to get there. And the good part about low gravity is that if you put the jump and boosters on at the same time, you're pretty much flying the entire way. And I've modified this particular exocraft for boost. I'll show you in a second as soon as I land. There we go. It helps going airborne and just flying really helps cover distances very quickly. And yeah, the exocraft really is just maxed out on S-class components for the booster upgrade, the engine upgrade. I also have the lasers for mining and defense, but they're not really used. And you have to make sure you get these hazard protection units in, so that if you're in a really hazardous planet, you can just get back into this thing and you're protected. Um, the radars are useful for scanning for things that are far away. It's a very specific thing, so if you press your little menu and you go to Exocraft Scanner, you can do a trade outpost, depots, drop pods, abandoned structures, ruins, and alien structures. I believe alien structures, you can actually even find portals using this. These are the ruins. Sometimes ruins have language modules and some mini quest involved. Abandoned structures, often the those horde things that you can get their eggs and they run around. You just shoot them. Those things also count as living things. So if you get a mission from a one of the bases that says you have to defeat 11 things, uh, it those things count. So it's kind of nice. Drop pods are useful for extending your inventory space if you don't have one already maxed out. Depots are usually protected by sentinels. You just blow them up, take the resources, fight off the sentinels. And the trade outpost is exactly that, as a trade outpost. Anyways, it was a little diversion. So now we're here. I have two tools, and I have them hotkeyed. One is the terrain manipulator, and the other one is a mining beam. I also have a pulse splitter in case I have to fight. So three of these multi-tools are optimized. The one on the terrain manipulator is pretty much my it's my Swiss Army knife. Then the other one is, this one is maximized for maximum damage from pulse splitter and scatter blaster. So this is pretty much just for fighting, and it's also one of the alien ones which has a high damage potential. So this is really good for taking enemies down quickly. And the last one is optimized for mining. So I have these supercharged slots, and I put all of the mining stuff on there. So this thing will mine through stuff almost instantly. It's super quick. Matter of fact, I couldn't find any better way to arrange these to maximize the mining, but like the speed is increased, more resources. It just happens that this tool that I got had the supercharged slots all right next to each other, all four of them. I could have just as easily used this one for like pulse splitter and put all the pulse splitter enhancements here to maximize. The downside is I don't know what my like mining potential is because it doesn't show here. So I'm kind of guessing. And the way I usually do it is you surround the thing you want to boost with at least two others. So like this one may be getting boosted and this one's getting boosted. This one may not be, but this is just resources mined. And this one's getting boosted. So sometimes you just look at the one that has the most of what you need and put it in the middle. Like this one's got 25% mining speed, 26. So maybe we'll put that one in the middle. This is a little bit more mining speed. This one has 32 mining speed, so it's kind of wedged in between two of these. It's when you wedge the I guess these, what are these called? Technology enhancements in between two of the related type. And you can tell a related type by the border. If you look at these, they all have a green border, unless I hover over the supercharged ones. These all have orange, so these are all related. So if you put all of the related ones together, they'll actually boost each other up. Usually just having a 4x4, 2x2, I'm sorry, arrangement is pretty optimal. But as long as it has two on each side. Like in this case, this is the best one I have, and it's surrounded by these two. And these you get from fighting sentinels, and you get the glass shards, and you open them up, and they have the forbidden tool modules, and you just keep opening until you find the best ones. Anyways, that said, pick the terrain manipulator one and just clear out the area. Sometimes they have three of these, sometimes they're different looking ones. These are kind of randomish. And in order to get to the center, see it says protective casing 2 out of 9. You switch to a mining beam. There it is. And now you can look and see what you got from that particular one. I think we got a fuel cover and 2 cargo boxes. Not really anything useful, but it's all random, and eventually you can use some of this to trade. So you can trade up, and if you have too many, just trade a lot of them. And now you find the next spot, and that looks like something, but it's a floating crystal, which usually has some kind of a rare crystal. If you mine it, there's another one right there. Although that one said, oops. Sometimes when you try to mark it and you're too close to the exocraft, you get inside the exocraft because it's the same key. So this one says it would take me 5 minutes if I ran. But we're going to use this boosted exocraft and sail through the world. Find a ramp, jump, and boost. Kind of float. I've tried floating into space and no success. Eventually the gravity pulls you down. But as you can see, I've covered 5 minutes in like 10 to 15 seconds. And when you're there, you can actually quickly get out. And both of you will fall to the ground. So it's somewhere. So it's in there. You dig around. I found another one. Fortunately, it's the exact same looking one as the previous, so no variety. And not that it matters. Notice the sentinels have detected me, but I did it so quickly that they're just going to look and leave. If they did get aggro, I could just get into my exocraft and leave. But by the time they realize what's going on, they'll just deactivate. And in this one, I got a dome section, scaffolding. This is the thing you get from the middle, and it's a sellable piece. It's the actual salvageable scrap. So the parts you get from the Corvette are actually the things on the outside. So you want to find ones, or hope you're lucky to find ones that have more than two, so you can get even more parts. And what I usually do is I'll fill up on parts, then go to one of the star bases and unload this into the storage area, because the star bases have a little storage area. So let's take a look at that. Summon your ship. Yeah, summon the monstrosity. I don't know where it's gonna fit. How about right here? Yeah, it's very big, and it looks unwieldy, but it's actually pretty quick. So this little piece, so you can go through this hatch that I've added, or you can go through the back. Sometimes it'll drop down a teleporter that you can teleport up quickly, and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not quite sure how to get the teleporter, but because it's a low gravity moon, sometimes you'll miss and overshoot. And just fly up to a starbase, and we'll take a look at where they are stored. Once you're in space, you look for the starbase icon, which is right there. And you hyper shoot, pulse to the engine, and you can get up and enable the autopilot, which will stop when we get there. And you can run around. You can build these ships to be really nice. I think I'm going to build one of these. Like the first level has windows all around, so you can watch. Right now the window's all the way at the top, and it'll take me a while to run up there. They said this is not a very well designed spaceship. It's just lots of parts. All right, so here we are. It arrived. I wish that once you teleported to the station, the autopilot would just dock you in instead of having me to get in there and dock. Let's hope the weird bug was fixed where if you try to dock with the space station, like this capture wasn't happening and I was just slamming right into the space station. And that's fine and okay, but sometimes you get stuck in the geometry. And I have some permadeath games. And if you get stuck in the geometry and die in the permadeath game is really unpleasant because all that effort is gone. But once we arrive here, the storage area is right next to the fabrication terminal. So it's the cache. And then you just transfer the stuff over. See, I got a whole bunch. I usually make runs where I fill this whole inventory up and I just dump it. Sometimes you find some useful parts, like some of these Ambassador class are really nice looking. Titan are good for certain, like each one of these, the Titan, Thunderbird, and Ambassador have certain boosts to like the engines and to the shield. You have to find the right one, the right combination of them that fits for what you need in your ship. So if you go to the Corvette and you modify, it'll tell you, you see on the right side, which I can't have on my mouse there, but you can see in the top right, the damage potential, shield strength, hyperdrive, range, and maneuverability. Each one of those is built up by the parts you attach. So if you want to, now it will show this note on each one. It says, has performance limit has been reached and further upgrades are will be cosmetic. But when I have not reached the limits, it will actually show the numbers values of the boost. And I'll probably make another video where I break this entire thing down and rebuild it when I have time. But yeah, each one of these will have provide some kind of a boost. Like this would be for the landing gear. You pick one of these three and see which one gives you the most boost. Um, Find out which of these are some of these are hyper thrusters, some of these are used for navigation. These are all sorts of weapons, so you have to pick the one you like most. Like I don't really use this positron ejector. I actually don't even use a lot of these. My main one is the infra knife. So I was debating getting rid of all these weapons and seeing if I can mount an infra knife and a phase beam. I use phase beam to knock the shields down, and then infra knife for everything else, and sometimes use torpedoes to take the enemy out. So I'll have to probably redo that. Each one of these provides shielding, and so do these. So you can combine a few of these, I think up to three of these, and also up to three of these. So in my build, let's leave the workshop. In, in the Starships build, you can kind of see that I have three of the Ceto class, which provide, 14, 15, and 16 shield. And then I also have these, the high energy shields, which provide some shields. And then I have, this is an S-class shield modifier. And this is the actual deflector shield unit. So there are two ways to boost your shields, these, and they don't work together. I've tried rearranging it so they're side by side, and there's no synergy between them. You can usually tell by the color around it. Like, see, these are orange, these are yellows, blues. These are also blues. So sometimes you just want to group them together, like purples, so that all of them are together and are helping each other out. Overall, the ship works, but like I said, it's big. It's got a lot of stuff on it and unwieldy. Anyways, so that's farming the salvage. Find yourself a nice planet that has hopefully low gravity that you can use the exocrafts to kind of fly around on almost. And something that doesn't have a lot of aggressive sentinels, and just go from salvage module to salvage module and mine them down.